Golden Knights owner Bill Foley was aggressive from the beginning, saying he wanted to win the Stanley Cup in 6 years. Vegas nearly won it the first year, making the Stanley Cup Finals before losing in 5 games to the Washington Capitals. For the players on the team, high expectations came from the top and came early. Fast forward 5 years from the original season in the 2017-2018 season, and the Vegas Knights have officially won the Stanley Cup. Now, don't talk a lot of hockey on this channel, but as somebody that lives in Vegas and has been here since the inaugural season of the Vegas Golden Knights and kind of rooting for the home team, right? I've never really been a huge hockey guy personally. I just want to preference that up front. But I do, like, when we got the Vegas Knights team, I was like, hey, cool, give me something to root for. Kind of one of the first, like, big professional sports teams here in Vegas. Went to a couple games, all that stuff. Have a son that is absolutely obsessed with it, like diehard, goes to the games, all of that stuff. And it's been fun to experience this journey with the Vegas Golden Knights from year one, because most teams and most franchises in all sports usually have been around quite a long time. And, I haven't been there for many of these beginning stages of teams. And to see this team basically have a run that was historic in year one. And many people looked at that and was like, oh, that'll never be replicated, right? It was one of those things where teams didn't really understand. It was just this gumbo type mixture of all these players that, yes, some talented, but, they kind of overachieved, right? They had the excitement of the first year, all these players that were upset and scorned that their teams let them go. And so they had something to prove, and they really wanted to kind of show up and show out. And they continued to be a hard-fought team, continue to show, like, hey, they are improving, they are getting better. Last year, they missed the playoffs, and it was like, see, here you go. Now Vegas is going back to reality, and then they fire the coach to get a new coach, and they start the season, I believe, 14-2, and looked like one of the better teams in the league. And throughout the course of the season, continued to display that, and you get to the playoffs, and they essentially ran through the playoffs. And it was really great to see. It was really fun to see. They end up matching up against the Panthers in the Stanley Cup, and they have something to prove, right? Because the last time they were ever in the Stanley Cup, they got swept. They have this kind of stigma, and then the whole rat thing, where people were throwing rats on the ice the last time. And Florida has never won a Stanley Cup, so it's like, they're a team that feels like they're like the team of destiny in many people's eyes. They were the last ones to enter the playoffs. They ended up sweeping to get into the Stanley Cup, and it was like, okay, this is the year Florida, they're finally going to win. They're finally going to win that illustrious cup. And Vegas came in and said, nope, this is our year. And we've shown it all year. This was destiny. This was what was meant to happen. We're going to hold up to the standard that the owner originally said, and we're going to win that Stanley Cup within the first 6 years. And that was remarkable. And just even throughout the course, Adin Hill coming in after the first 8 games to kind of have to take in the starting role, and he has been just shut out, brilliant. Vegas just seemed in this entire series like just the bigger, more strong, more fast, physical, more well-executed team throughout. They didn't buy into the sort of bully ball of the of the Panthers. They were trying to goad them in regularly, right? You saw it every game. They're in there trying to initiate fights and trying to just kind of get into Vegas's head. And in reality, it ended up pulling them out. It ended up pulling them out of their game and put them in compromising positions on numerous occasions. And in all reality, look, Vegas should have swept this series. They really should have. I mean, what was game 3 where they had the lead until the last minute or whatever, and then gave it up, and then they lost in overtime, and it was like, uh-oh. And even people were, oh, that's it. The Panthers, that's what they needed. They needed that one win. They had that stigma that they needed to break. It was like this dark cloud hanging over them. They're going to go in. Now they know what they need to do. They won a game that they shouldn't have won. And so they'll bounce back and they'll win at home, and it'll be 2-2, and they'll be heading to Vegas, and all will be right. And, that whole spiel, that whole story. And Vegas kept playing their game, dominated game 4, and came out tonight and just completely dominated and took advantage every step of the way. Vegas looked a little sort of displaced early on, right? Like the Panthers really came out with aggression. They look like the team that was desperate. They look like the team that had to win this game, that needed to do whatever they could to win this game. And there was a couple moments early on that looked relatively bleak. You're like, uh-oh, like how is this going to go? And then Stone knocking in the shorthanded goal, it just completely flipped and changed everything. From there on out, it's like Vegas, the net got twice as big, and they just kind of changed their perspective and their tone, and they were more aggressive. They started to kind of keep the Panthers on their end throughout the entire course of this game, and kind of just kept reeling. And all of a sudden, it's 2-0, and then it's 2-1, and it's like, okay, well, all right, things got right. The Panthers are right back in it. Let's settle down. You still got some time. And then Vegas, boom, 3-1. And then the stick breaks, and it's like, uh-oh, what's going to happen? Like, you got to go get him out. You got to get that puck out of there. And Vegas just kept controlling it, finding their spots, never let it get out of reach to where he could go get a new stick. And boom, all of a sudden, 4-1, then it's 5-1, then it's 6-1. And then at that point, it was like, all right, they're going in the third period up 6-1. This game is over. It's a wrap. And that, I will say, though, that Stone goal was ridiculous. The way he came down, stopped, pivoted, waited, faked the shot, came back, and then the guy slides by, and boom, just, that was just, as soon as that happened, you just felt like, okay, there it is. Vegas, there was just never really a point, in my opinion at least, and I watched every single one of these games. Again, I have a son that's like obsessed with this, and it just never really felt like Vegas wasn't going to win this series. Usually like you'll see series and it's like, okay, like this team clearly has a shot, right? It just never really felt like that. I compared it to the Denver Nuggets series, right, in the NBA Finals. All right, like Miami won a game, but it never felt like that Miami had a chance against the Denver Nuggets. It just never did. Like if you watched those games, if you stayed on top of those games, it looked like a freshman team playing a varsity team, or freshman team playing a college team almost at times. And that's kind of what this series felt in that perspective. It felt like one team was clearly outmatched. One team just didn't have enough. They tried to play that smash mouth, and it just didn't work. Vegas was too big, too fast, too strong. Vegas was going after and controlling the puck throughout the entirety of pretty much all the games. They set the tone, they set the pace. They just were physical, and they were just too much. They really were. They were just too much for the Panthers to handle. And it's no shame. Sometimes you just lose to the better team. It's pretty cool to, because as somebody that grew up in LA, born and raised, diehard Laker fan, many of you, if you're subscribed to this channel and my Laker channel, then you know that. It's always great to see your team, your hometown team, the team that you're rooting for, win a championship. And I've been blessed enough, thanks to growing up in LA and being a Laker fan and being able to, see the Lakers win several championships and see the celebration of the city and the teams and stuff like that. I never really, like I said, got into hockey, so I was never really like a Kings fan or anything like that. If they won, when they won the Stanley Cup, I was happy. I was excited. I celebrated with people. Hockey was just never really my thing. But again, not growing up, but being in Vegas and watching my son grow up here in Vegas and having him sort of latch on to Vegas, and over the years, him really kind of just become obsessed with the Vegas Golden Knights. It's been fun for me to kind of dive into the sport and dive into the players and stuff. I'm not an expert by any means. I have a pretty good grasp and bearing when it comes to basketball and even football to an extent. Basketball is my bread and butter, but definitely continuing to learn more. And it's exciting. It's exciting to see his excitement of the Vegas Golden Knights winning this series and winning the Stanley Cup, their first Stanley Cup. And for a team to win it in the first 6 years, I mean, that is literally historic. I mean, there are still teams. There are 11 teams in hockey that have never won a Stanley Cup? Like, that's ridiculous. And for a team to come in and in their first 6 years go to 2 Stanley Cups and win one of them, that says something. And look, this is a team that's good enough to very likely win it again next year. This is a team that can absolutely win it again next year, and that would be remarkable. But it's going to be fun. Can't wait to go celebrate. I'll have to go to the parade and maybe do some videos and stuff like that. Maybe we'll live stream or something there if I can get the time to get out there. But it'd be cool. But regardless, again, what a great win. What a great just kind of establishment for Las Vegas. Now, that's back-to-back championships for professional sports here in Vegas. We had the Las Vegas Aces, which when they won, I made a video about it, talked about that. And then now this year, to see the Vegas Golden Knights win it is pretty cool. And we're going to end up seeing potentially the Aces winning it again this year. They're stacked. And Candace Parker and everything like that. So that's pretty cool. Raiders, it'll probably be a while before they get back to Super Bowl standards, but that would be nice if they could win one at some point. In the next 5 years or so, the NBA will probably be out here as well. So we're slowly getting there. The Oakland A's, we'll see if that actually goes through. But I imagine within the next few years, we'll probably have every professional franchise sports team out here. And it'll be cool. It'll be fun times. I'll be able to get to go to all that stuff and see all those things. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What'd you think? What'd you think of Vegas winning? Were you excited? Were you happy? Were you cool? Were you disappointed? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below.